Over the Thanksgiving weekend, my friends and I went on a wild Sierra Sunday adventure up into the high country. We drove up past Bowman Lake, up to the waterfall at Weaver Lake, and then to a high promontory to look at the Sierra Buttes. I'm gonna cut this video up into 3 chapters. This first one was the ascent, getting up there with all our equipment. I was testing out a new app that let me point at a mountain and figure out which one it was. The plan for the day was to drive the trucks up to a staging area and then offload the all-terrain vehicles, repack and load up into them, and drive up the mountain from there. It's an open-air, very bumpy experience, not for the faint of heart.
All right, you guys got everything in the truck?
It's not the only way to get up to the high country, but it is the only way to do it fast. These guys are cousins, and they've been doing this their whole lives. The road starts out pretty good. Public access to the upslope recreation areas. But the higher up you go, the more wild it gets. This country has a long and complex history, not all of it pretty. There was, of course, the gold rush and the Native American genocide, and then crazy level of development. Some of these roads up here date back to the 1870s and are managed by the U.S. Forest Service. Bowman Lake Dam definitely comes from the 1870s. It was a mining era construction, later taken over by Nevada Irrigation District, that manages all the waterways around here. It's a country that has been logged probably twice and stripped and ravaged and pilfered by human beings. And now much of it has just been left behind for us, the grandchildren of these generations, to explore and recreate upon. Steve, who's leading us in the bike, and his friend Stefan have often explored here, and they are taking us up past the Graffiti Rock and just below Bowman Lake Dam. It looks a little like Half Dome in Yosemite, a giant pillow of white granite rolling off the shoulder of the mountain. We'll go just below it on this drive. I think we're at around 5,000 feet here in these images. Later in chapter 3, we'll be well above 7,000 feet. We'll definitely feel it, the drop in temperature. I've gotten used to the rumble-tumble of four-wheel drive travel. You have to get used to it to see this country this intimately, this closely, to feel it, to smell it. We love it up here. We approach this land with a sense of reverence. I know we're loud with our machines, but we come here out of love.
So right up here, we're going to take a left.
Takes us on a shortcut down across the valley in front of the dam, up the other side. He knows all the connecting roads, some put in by logging companies, some put in by private four-wheelers. Follow them up the far bank. And eventually, after quite a bumpy trek, we can look back across the valley and see the spectacular range behind Bowman Mountain. English Mountain pokes up its head. It's an awe-inspiring view. I wanted to go on adventures like these when I was younger, of course. But life took me in a different path. That path gave me some valuable lessons. Luckily, now I have this Indian summer period in the autumn of my life where I can tag along on some of these adventures with my young friends. Now, as we began to reach higher elevation and in the shadow side of the mountain where the sun never reaches, we started to encounter patches of snow and ice that we hadn't expected at this point. The Razor, of course, just sliced right through it like it's nothing, the little beast. But Stove's mountain bike was not equipped for these conditions, so we had to avert our eyes from time to time while he was slip sliding around. Of course, he loved it, but his wife did not. We've arrived at our first destination. We unpack and we'll go the rest of the way on foot. The ascent is complete. The babbling of the creek is the first clue we get that we have reached the base of the waterfall. The atmosphere has shifted, as has the vegetation, so much wetter down here in the deep canyon than it is on the sheer granite faces above us. We enter a fairy woodland. The atmosphere down here is thicker, as if the crashing water all around us, smashing against the crystalline granite, fills the air with ions of electricity. I stumble like a old green wizard in an elven wood. Watch your step, old man. It's becoming more and more treacherous. Hard to tell from the video, but this is an incline. We're walking uphill again, into the deep cut channel that has been made by centuries of this falling water. The creek and the waterfall are both coy, revealing themselves only in glimpses through the cedars and the pines. There she is above us. It's hard to understand how tall and narrow this place is. The waterfall peeking out. But hey, wait, that's the next chapter's story. Be well, my friends, and see you in Chapter 2. Over the Thanksgiving weekend, my friends and I went up to the High Sierra for a Wild Sierra Sunday adventure. This is Chapter 2, The Waterfall. We started the ascent on all-terrain vehicles, but now have hiked up here on foot. It's hard to describe this terrain, but looking down from the satellite view, you can see it. There's a strong volcanic escarpment right next to Weaver Lake that's been undercut by centuries of erosion from the waterfall that comes out of the creek that feeds out of the lake. It is up this cut that you can see from the drone that we have hiked. From this point on, we'll need the assistance of ropes that locals leave attached to the tree roots to help you scramble up. It's a slippery slide. Once we get the people up the cut, there's always the question of what to do about the pets.
You gotta run. You did it! Good boy! Good boy.
This giant horseshoe that we are climbing into is seen clearly from above, carved backwards, inch by inch, into the cliff by the eons of falling water.
Well, why are we doing this?
This is a volcanic and erosional landform, very common here in Northern California. It is basalt made from volcanic lava flows, and the column-like octagonal sort of shape that you can see up there is caused when the lava cools and joins together in this form.
Wait till you get underneath that thing.
I have always thought there's something wonderful about a cave behind a waterfall in a secret cove deep in the mountains. And yet here's one in real life. The water is very minimal now here. This is low season, midwinter. In the spring it will be a raging flood, and this will be a curtain almost impassable to the cave beyond. We make our way carefully along the slippery clay of the upslope to the cave entrance. Far in the distance, you can see Steve as a measure of scale against how tall this actually is. 10 stories or more. The approach to the escarpment is dramatic. This place is much bigger than it seems. A mammoth cavern could hold 100 people, or a colony of bears.
Over there. You know what the fucking earth is above your head right now?
I bet somebody had a fire in there. That's why that
You
fire-
gotta have the fire out here.
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah.
Big one.
Towards the back of the cavern, you can see how it gets bigger every year as flecks of rock flake, freeze, and thaw off the ceiling and fall down into the cavity below, then get washed out. It's an undercut, soft sand, and freezing really flakes this rock apart. It's so big. I can truly imagine living here, especially in the summer. Here, I'll turn the phone horizontal so you can get more of a sense of it. It is not lost on me that our very ancestors may have lived in caves such as this, or more presciently, that our more recent forebears on this land were chased away and killed so that other people could take it from them. I imagine this was definitely used as dwelling at some point by different people at different times. I feel their spirit as I wander around the beauty of this place. It's more than just geology. It's an echo of human beingness. The cliffs above our head are ancient things and can be seen from space. Our lifespans are but a blip in the scales of geologic time, and yet Here in the cave, just upslope from us, I can see an ancestor of mine living out his days, the comfort of paradise, and the sweet caverns of Xanadu. We will climb down out of this place soon enough, but it has left its quiet mark on us.
Incredible.
This place where water meets sky, meets stone, meets earth. Sun and shadow together, life and death. This place carved out of time. And, frankly, in our backyard. We move out, a bit bathed by the mist, cleansed. We come up out of shadow into light of day, from the womb of Mother, reborn, here at this solstice time of year. We make our way back down the cut to find the vehicles again. A voyage of transformation, perhaps. Still, there are practical considerations. The road is slippery. The ropes are wet. We actually do have to watch our steps and make our way cautiously, carefully, back into the real world.
Do you think I should?
Returned to where we started, as if out of a dream. We reload and transition again for the next bumpy leg of our voyage, going way up into the high country to see the Sierra Buttes. And we suddenly realized we could look down from above and see the fog that has been so famously filling the valley. But hey, all of that is the subject of the next chapter. So, be well, my friends, and see you in Chapter 3. On the Sunday afternoon of Thanksgiving weekend, some friends and I jumped into the all-terrain vehicles and drove up into the Sierra High Country for a wild mountain adventure. In the initial ascent, we drove past Bowman Dam and looked back into the valley made by Canyon Creek. In Chapter 2, we visited the waterfall and the cave in the cliff face below Weaver Lake. And now here in Chapter 3, we've gone one step farther up onto the Pinole Ridge to look out across at the Sierra Buttes. The Buttes are a castle-like formation that's famous in this area, and I've seen them from many directions, but never quite from here.
We're like right over here. Yeah, we're sitting about right there.
The fact of the matter is we weren't even really all that close, but from this angle and with the crisp mountain air, it just seemed to snap right into position. Before we were to spend too much time up there, before the light had faded, we wanted to do a little target shooting here in this cut left behind by a logging company. It was probably a staging flat for moving logs out, but now it forms a perfect shelter where we can practice with our firearms. There is an unobstructed 360-degree view here of the Sierra Buttes in one direction, and in the other direction, the Valley Buttes, which are a different formation altogether, but which you could just see sticking up through the strange fog which has been filling the California Central Valley. People have been posting about it. It's called the Thule fog or the radiation fog. I'll probably do a separate video about it, but it was very strange to see the Valley Buttes sticking up and the Sierra Buttes in the sunshine. we soon fell into a meditative pattern, the focused, diligent practice with our firearms and staring out to the mesmerizing distance. This gives me lots of wandering thoughts. The impact of humans on nature, safety versus violence, being prepared versus being paranoid. What do you want? You guys know me. I'm an armchair philosopher. Put me out here in the mountains with these sounds in the background, and I'm bound to think different thoughts. You know, I hate to go there, but I have experienced violence against my family and know that self-defense is a real thing and not a fantasy and just in movies. So I have always trained, and my children are trained, and I just think it's important to understand these tools and to respect them. That's part of my culture. I know it's not everyone's. We live in a strange world, and anyway, I'm an old Texas man living in my beloved and adopted California. It's like I traded places with my brother. He was born here in Oroville, just down the road. I was born in Houston, Texas. And today, he lives 20 miles from where I was born, and I live 20 miles from where he was born. The light is beginning to shift towards golden hour, so it makes sense to go back up to the high ridge and look at this gorgeous country. The buttes are lit up by the setting sun. But here's the thing about long and winding travels up into the High Sierra. Once you are done with your trip, you still have the trip of going all the way home. And as the light was setting, and we had to travel on the shadow side of the mountain at any rate, we started to encounter more and more snow, which made it pretty slip-slidey for Steve. The air temperature has dropped suddenly now that we're in the shadow of the hill. And every arc of descent that the sun makes further towards the horizon, it gets colder. I can just imagine what it's like up there for Steve. For us back here in the wind, it's not so great. But the quality of this light, and the quality of the air, the freshness and the conifer incense fills the lungs. Even when we're in the scars of the old logging strip areas, still, the view is astonishing. Finally, we reach the high point and get to look out over our playground.
Yeah, that was a little crazy in the snow.
Yeah, I saw you getting a little saucy there.
Damn. Let's see that lake up there? Right before that storm was closing in.
From here, we can see the entire range of the watershed that forms our playground. Over to the left is Fauchery and Sawmill, our favorite lakes and where I have featured many videos. All the way down you realize the scale of it is immense. The land we play on is just a tiny fraction of this big bowl, a giant sphere that we have just a little slice of the pie to enjoy once a year. Incredible. As I see the ancient trees and the ancient stones and the immense expanses, I'm always in awe. The powder of the first season's snow makes us realize, along with the chill in the air, that we are entering winter, the long nights. These lonely mountains, which my app has helped me identify, are friends, familiar faces, these peaks, these apus that have names that we worship, that we attend to. I'm grateful to live up here. My home watershed of the Yuba and the Canyon Creek. This is good country, gold country, beloved of the moon. The Q'ero people who live in the high Andes of Peru say that at different elevations there is different qualities of energy. And the higher you go, the more refined it is. Not just the air, but the electricity, the available magic. And there are certain rituals they will only do at certain elevations. Now that I have spent time in the high country, I think I understand why they do that. The golden light set across the strange fog of the valley. We descend now into the evening, back down the way we had come. Now the light is behind us, low and golden, shining directly at the face of the dam and the wall of the spur of the mountain that comes down to meet it. From this side, we see the whole face. It's like a movie set from a Star Wars film. Yet here it is. Before you know it, but definitely with it taking longer than you want it to take, we are back down to the relative flat, to the relative good road, to relative civilization. We reach our staging area and load back into the trucks. Before we know it, we have swooped down the mountain and we are set to return home, flashing down the highway into Nevada City, down the canyon to Shoshone Trail. Ciao.